Alright, so like I've just been sitting here and I am swamped. I have a lot to do. Um, that's really not the point, I guess, but it is part of the point of this video. So check this out, right? Like, you know, I've come to the conclusion that whenever something is complicated, it's usually because someone else has to do with it. Like, as long as I'm not interacting with anyone, things are simple. Things are simple when it's just me. But then, when my life includes me, me and my own very personal problems in terms of, just things within me, um, when it includes that, when it includes, everything, girls, um, your homies, um, you know, mother, father, sister, when it includes all that, everything just seems to be overcomplicated. Um, I don't know about you. I don't know if you've come to the realization, but I am tired of that. There is a big reason that I would love to get away from everyone. You know what I mean? Just even if it's just temporary. I don't want to get away from anybody, um, forever. But if I had the opportunity, if I had all of the finances and I had everything in line to make sure that I'm okay while I'm alone, then I would take that opportunity to be alone for a while, just away from people, because I figured out that the only time life is not complicated is when I'm alone. Um, so I mean, think about it. Okay, so let's say you're working on something at night, or you're working on something throughout the day, for yourself. Um, there are no, guidelines or anything like that, aside from the ones that you create. But then, let's say that you're working on something and you're working on it for someone else, or you're working on it with someone else. All of a sudden, the game has changed. The game is totally different from um, how it would be if you were working alone for yourself, right? So all of a sudden you have guidelines. Suddenly you have to make sure that you're not asynchronous with respect to your partner or whoever you're working for, or whoever you're working with or working indirectly with. Um, all of a sudden you have to worry about a whole bunch of things that you never had to worry about um, when you were alone, while you were alone. And I've always found this to be a problem because I remember being exposed to group work, um, you know, early in my school career, and I just never liked it. I was always that guy who ended up with all of the work because I figured out that there were people who were just taking things and mangling them, and just causing a whole bunch of complication where there didn't have to be. Okay, so um, for example, I might have to write like a guide to something. You know what I mean? Or I might have to expound on something that happened in history, right? Um, a person who's in my group might say, okay, well, um, the teacher said to do this, but I want to do this and this, right? And I'm the type who says, okay, how about we just follow their guidelines, right? Just so that we can get the grade. This is me in like the fourth grade. You know what I mean? I was that person even early on. Okay, so this is me in like the fourth grade. I'll be like, hey, how about we just follow the directions? Okay, we explain this as well as we can according to the teacher's directions, and then we'll worry about everything else, right? And usually what happens is you'll have that kid in the group or that number of kids in the group who are like, why can't we do it at the same time? I feel like doing this, I don't feel like doing that. All of a sudden, I have all these complications with my, with the balance of my grade. All of a sudden, my grade is um is is at stake. I view it as if it's at stake, rather than, okay, I'm just going to do this and get the grade. It was always at stake since the infancy of the project. Your grade is at stake. It all depends on what you do, right? To get that grade. But now there's the sense that it's at stake, which makes it very complicated for me. So what I would do is I would say, okay, you know what, this isn't working. So what I'm going to do is I know how to do it. Or I'm going to learn how to do it because I know that I have the capacity to learn, to pick it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take over and I'm going to learn it and I'm going to do it, and you're not going to stop me, because if you try to, then I'll fight you, or I'll argue with you until you don't want to do it anymore, don't want to fight me anymore, things like that. You know what I mean? All that immature stuff, whatever. I was that kid, but I always got it done. I was one of those guys. So, fast forward to now. Now I have to worry about things like, now my network is a lot bigger than it was in the 4th grade. It might not be as vast as I might think it is, but I certainly have met a lot of people, and I have interacted with them on professional levels and personal levels, and what I have learned is that the entropy, when it picks up, the social entropy, when that picks up, when that increases in magnitude, all of a sudden my job is harder as one who is interacting. All of a sudden I have this very obscure look at reality. And it is absolutely unnecessary, to be honest. I find it to be completely unnecessary. I have to worry about timing. I have to worry about things like being on time. Think about it. All of that stuff, being on time, looking a certain way, doing something with a particular quality, all of that stuff is solely dependent upon social ties. That's all it's dependent upon. If it was just you, then you would not have to worry about any of that, as long as you don't want to worry about any of that. It's as simple as that. It is very simple. Life is very simple when you're alone. The only time that it's super complicated is when, or complicated at all, is when you have to interact with someone. When you're obligated to that interaction, all of a sudden your job becomes harder, because all of a sudden you got to worry about political correctness, you have to worry about their guides, you have to worry about all of their rules, you have to worry about all of that, and it's off-putting, it's terrible. It's like, but then the thing is that what really gets me is that no one seems to get it. No one seems to get that everybody's overcomplicating things by constantly changing the rules, implementing rules, instituting rules that are, or guides or whatever, imposing rules that have absolutely no necessary bearing on the outcome of the situation, any of that. Everybody just seems to want to complicate things exponentially just for the hell of it, and I can't seem to fathom that, and it's not that I don't want to, but it's like I just don't want to deal with it. I want to know how it works. I want to know why people are like that. I want to know why, why societal constraints and why all of these interactions are bound by such intricacies and such complications. I want to know why that is, but I don't want to deal with it. That's kind of like where my head is. I just don't want to deal with it. I don't know what to say. This isn't like some profound conclusion. I am not surmising that, this is something that hasn't been thought of. I am not saying that, that I'm right. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that from where I'm looking right now, people complicate things. People, everyone else aside from me. Does that make any sense? It's like if I'm just if everything, if the universe was dependent upon my own existence, right? And I was the one who made all the rules, then nothing would be complicated because I make all the rules. Nothing would be complicated to me, at least. It may be complicated to everyone else because they have to abide by my rules. But it won't be complicated to me because I know that whatever I say goes. Whatever I say goes, and that's just how it goes. Since that's not the case, I have to put up with all of the idiocy of the rest of society. That society that stands outside of me. That's anyone else who stands outside of me. That has, and this is not something for anyone to take personally. I'm really just kind of like venting because I realize that everything, all of my problems, any problems that I may have ever had to do with someone else. They always had something to do with someone else. If I felt insecure about the way I looked, it would always be, that insecurity would be rooted in the opinions of someone else. If I felt that something lacked great quality, it was always because I thought that someone else didn't feel like it lived up to the quality that they wanted it to live up to. If I ever needed to be somewhere, and I was stressed out in the end after getting there, it's probably because that I got there late, which was because, and the lateness was was strict to someone else's rules. Someone said, okay, be here on time, be here at like 8 o'clock, and I didn't get there at 8 o'clock, and therefore I'm stressed. I guess to make life easier, and in defense of everyone else, I could just conform. I could just kind of abide by things and just go with everything. But I'm just not like that kind of guy to do that. And I'm not saying that it's an excuse to mess up or anything like that. What I'm saying is that it's super uncomfortable. It's not that I'm not totally defiant, but it's just super uncomfortable to have to constantly, shift my own mentality just to suit everyone else's, and that's where the complication comes in. And I'm just kind of like fed up with it. You know what I mean? Everything, all of my problems, every single problem that I can think of right now, has to do with someone else. It's not me. It's not just Greg. It's someone else. It's all these other people. If I take myself away from people, I find that I'm being followed by people. So it's like, even if I were to delete myself from the internet, virtually, if I were to delete myself as much as I can, if I were to take myself, all of the material that's related to me off of the internet, I'm talking Facebook, everything, then I would still find that in some way I have to interact with people. I have to interact with people, no matter what I do, which makes life complicated. There's always that complication that I cannot get rid of, and that is something that I'm super frustrated over. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I am definitely kind of like fed up with it. But I don't know what to do about it. I don't know anything. I don't know what to do about that particular frustration, because it's a very grand frustration to have. I mean, how can you kick something that's so instinctive, your social interaction, your propensity to be social as a human being, that's so natural? How do you kick that? or how do you feel that that is terrible, and how do you live with that? Um, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. It sucks. It really sucks, and I'm just kind of I'm just frustrated right now. I haven't gotten a haircut in a little while. You can check it out. No haircut. And to be honest, if it was just up to me, I wouldn't get a haircut ever. I would never get a haircut. The only reason I get a haircut is that other people are going to treat me a certain way because I don't get a haircut. Because I don't have a haircut. Um, you know, I mean, I keep my weight down. Not, and a large part of it isn't because I want to stay healthy. I'm going to be honest. I keep my weight at something that's okay, because I know that if I look fat and sloppy, then everybody's going to look at me as this sloppy dude who just, probably doesn't do anything, lives this sedentary lifestyle, this completely unfavorable lifestyle. Like 50% of the reason I keep my weight down at this point is because of that. I started losing weight so that people people would stop treating me a certain way. I peaked at an extremely high weight. And it was terrible. It was a terrible lifestyle. I was always being picked on for it. There was a time where I was even told that I remember being asked, and it will always stick to me. Can you even see your collarbone? Things like that stick with you forever. A girl walked up to me and said, "Hey, you know what? One day out of nowhere, she just said, "Hey, your arms are fat." Out of nowhere. I remember that day so clearly because of that one statement. It's like I can perform this extremely meticulous this really empirical regression, and I can trace everything that happened that day simply because of that one statement. That's how it stuck to me, and that complicated my life. It's that kind of thing that complicated it. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. Of course, I could have just said, you know what, F it. I don't care what they think. But realistically, I think that we all have our convictions. We all just have that. We're just urged to, to give a monkey's butt about what happens around us. That's part of our intelligence. I think that's part of it. Of course, if you master the art of ignoring, the opinions of others, then, you'll probably end up either super poor or you'll be super, super rich. But that's not my game. I'm not in it. I'm not saying that I plan on doing that or any of that. I don't know. It's working out. If there's like someone around who is showing off that they can do this amount of weight, they can lift this amount of weight or that amount of weight, then all of a sudden I feel like I'm a loser if I can only lift maybe half their weight, and if they look like me or something like that. I feel like I should do that. That's a complication. That's something that shouldn't be, in my opinion. And it all has to do with someone else being there. I would never think that. I would never have to fight that thought. I would never have to ignore it. I would never have to work on ignoring it. It takes energy to ignore something. Okay, at least consciously. If you consciously ignore something, you're using energy. You're exerting energy. You're exerting whatever you want to call it. You're exhausting your energy. Forget the grammar, the semantic use. I don't care. The point is that I would never have to worry about things like that if people were not involved in my life. This is something that I learned a long time ago. Just every once in a while I get very frustrated with it. I cannot seem to kick it. It kills me. I mean, it really just kills me. everything I think about. When I think about these problems, why don't I feel like I'm good enough in terms of my own intelligence? Why? What is good enough? What's the what's the scale in my brain that's telling me that I'm not good enough? What is it? What is it dependent upon? What comes to mind? What isn't coming to the forefront of my mind, but is there, influencing my self-esteem? What is it? I can almost guarantee that it has something to do with people, and it sucks. Sometimes I wish I was just like one of these experiments, a very secret experiment that the government is performing, where they have me, they have my mother birth me, and then they take me into seclusion so that I don't learn anything. I don't interact with anyone. I just I interact with my environment, and I'm not influenced by anything. I don't learn any language. I don't learn any of that. I kind of wish that happened, but what would be the point? What kind of complications would I have picked up if that were to happen? Well, if that were to have happened, um, it's just really frustrating, guys. I don't know. I'm just glad that I got that off my chest. I got it to the public. I'm posting this online because I feel like I want someone to hear it. You know, I don't have to post this online. I could have just recorded it and played it back for myself. But considering that everyone else seems to be part of, or a large part of the problems that I seem to have with life in general, the reason that being a reason makes posting this online relevant to me. It may not be relevant to you. In that case, you do not respond. I don't really care about what you think about me, my posting this online. I don't really care. I just want to get this out there because I'm super frustrated. I can work in groups. I can work with people. I'm good at it. But I don't like it. I never did. I was good at it, but I don't like it. If that makes any sense to you, take it and run with it. But I've been good at it. I've been good at working with people, but I don't like it. I don't like doing it, and I hate I hate the interaction. A large part of me hates it, but I don't know. I actually don't. I don't know how to deal with that, and it's going to I don't know. Maybe I'll maybe they'll some epiphany will strike me out regarding all this. But I really have nothing to I don't know what to really do, to be honest. I don't. All right, so thanks for listening. This is like 25 minutes next.